Tom, well, what do you make of it all?
Well, it is exactly what we've been predicting for months, Dan. Both of us in our programmes have been saying that in the end it's going to be a bombshell and Harry is going to make his fortune by treachery. And that's why, of course, the book was called Revenge, my book, because this is the worst sort of revenge imaginable. Harry has behaved dishonestly, disgracefully, and one can only be grateful he's not heir to the throne, because this man, 38-year-old, crying about what happened still 25 years ago to his mother, he just can't stop. He is really quite deranged and causing enormous damage to the royal family.
Welcome back to Royal News Daily, where we bring you the latest news, thoughtful analysis, and updates on the British royal family. If you enjoy balanced royal coverage, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now, here's today's story. Prince Harry is once again making headlines, this time following reports that he does not appear in a historical display at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, where generations of British Army officers have trained. According to the reports, a newly updated display highlighting the Academy's history and notable figures does not include Prince Harry, despite his graduation from Sandhurst in 2006 and nearly a decade of military service. The reports have prompted questions among royal commentators and military observers, many of whom view Harry's time in the armed forces as one of the most significant achievements of his public life. During his military career, Prince Harry served for around 10 years in the British Army, completing 2 operational tours in Afghanistan. He rose to the rank of captain and later founded the Invictus Games, an international sporting event supporting wounded, injured, and sick service personnel and veterans. For many supporters, these accomplishments represent an important part of his legacy, making the reported omission from Sandhurst's display particularly noteworthy.
Oh, I'm just making the point that you've got Harry, who has created this world of delusion now around the fact that the media was conspiring with the institution and senior members of the royal family to somehow force Harry and Meghan out. When actually, Tom, I know for a fact, and you know for a fact, that Harry and Meghan were doing exactly the same thing with favoured journalists when they were in the royal family.
But even worse than that, Dan, we know they're doing it now too. And what is really so shocking about this attack on the media is that Harry never actually names anybody who has denounced him, who has fed the press. All I know is when I wrote my book, which is very revelatory, as you know, about Meghan and Harry, I got absolutely no help from the palace whatsoever, on the contrary. And they keep on making these broad allegations without names, without incidents, without examples, no evidence at all. This is a petulant child, a dangerous, deranged child who has been given a huge amount of money by Hollywood scriptwriters, publishers, and of course, what he actually says has all been script written for him by his ghostwriter. These aren't his words, really. These are words which he has rehearsed and which he's delivering to make a point, to make his own fortune. And of course, the casualty is not only the royal family, but Britain's reputation too. Across the world, it is really quite tragic that he's been allowed and encouraged to make these sort of allegations, which has no evidence. And of course, full of contradictions, dishonest, absolutely terrible what he's done. The betrayal of his family, the disloyalty is really not only to the family, but to the army and to all Britons too. It's really quite awful.
Tom, what do you make of the fact that he has moaned for the past 2 years about the royal family and the British government not providing him with security? You know, it's one of his big bugbears. But actually, now his revelations in the book about how many members of the Taliban he killed while in Afghanistan have actually put him at a far greater security risk than he's ever been at, and also potentially, Tom, put his relatives at risk too.
Well, I think that what we've actually seen with this expose, this confession about killing of Taliban, is really the nub of this issue, that Harry has been fed lines. He's fed lines by his ghostwriter, by publishers anxious to milk him dry and to cause as much damage and embarrassment to the royal family. I really find it incredible that Harry would willingly have said, I killed 25 Taliban. I think what happened was they asked him to put a figure on it, and they thought, let's include that too. This is all conjecture, this is all fantasy, but it's selling his book and selling an attack on the royal family. And of course, he is perfectly safe in Britain. The protection argument has always been used by him to make himself important, and because I'm sure he's fed by paranoia. He is fed by all these drugs he's taken. He is absolutely motivated by fear of himself. And I think that Meghan has a hell of a lot to answer for all this. She, in the end, is the arch manipulator, the puppet master of Harry's astonishing attacks on his family, his disloyalty.
The narrative is collapsing, though, isn't it, Tom? Because all of a sudden last night, Harry was no longer prepared to stand by Meghan's very obvious claims that the royal family was racist. Now, you actually revealed in your book the truth about the so-called royal racist, and actually, it wasn't racism, was it? So what did you make of Harry's rowing back? Did that illustrate some sort of divide between him and his wife?
Well, I think it showed that they couldn't keep a consistent story because it's artificial and it was manufactured. And I think that he and his advisors have decided it's not advantageous to call the royal family racist without providing any evidence. And he's afraid to be exposed on that. So it's best to say that the press got it wrong. They never said the royal family was racist. And yet we all saw Meghan make that accusation in Oprah Winfrey. Also, I think they're reserving that sort of attack for Meghan's own book, for which we must now look forward in a year's time or something.
Exactly.
But I did think it was very interesting. I thought it was very interesting that they defend Lady Hussey. I mean, this is really extraordinary. And of course, that had all to do with an attack on William, that he dumped Susan Hussey quickly, just before he went to Boston for his Earthshot prize. I mean, all this is being done by people advising Harry and Meghan how to milk the story and how to cause as much damage and sell the book, sell the Netflix series, make themselves, in the end, really vital pawns, vital participants, threats to the royal family, which is exactly what they want to pose as, because as long as they're seen as threats, they can make money out of this constant diatribe and this constant menu of lies. And that's what it all is.
Indeed, and I think you're very right to use the word treacherous when it comes to these revelations. I think for me, Tom, possibly the worst moment, and I mean there's a lot of them, is Harry revealing a private conversation he had with his father, King Charles, at Prince Philip's funeral. We know, don't we, Tom, that for some time William and Charles have been scared to have any form of conversation with Harry or Meghan because they worry that they're either being recorded by some sort of device. There's been lots of speculation that Meghan may have actually worn microphones to some of their meetings. That is unproven, but it is certainly a fear within the royal family. And this book proves that they were right to have those suspicions and fears, because Harry literally quotes King Charles, a private conversation immediately after Prince Philip's funeral. Really, they can't trust having private conversations with Harry, can they? That they're not going to stay private.
However, it's important to point out that Sandhurst has not publicly stated that Prince Harry was deliberately excluded, nor has the Academy explained the criteria used to select individuals featured in the display. Without an official explanation, it's not possible to conclude why Harry reportedly does not appear. Prince Harry has often described his military career as one of the most meaningful periods of his life. Unlike many of his royal duties, military service allowed him to work alongside fellow soldiers in a structured environment, away from much of the public spotlight. Former colleagues have spoken positively about his commitment during his years in uniform. Even after stepping back from official royal duties, Harry has remained deeply involved in supporting veterans through the Invictus Games, a project widely regarded as one of his most enduring contributions. Because of that history, any suggestion that his military legacy is being overlooked naturally attracts significant public attention. Reaction to the reports has been mixed. Some commentators believe Prince Harry's military service deserves recognition regardless of his current relationship with the royal family, arguing that his achievements in uniform should be viewed separately from later events. Others suggest there may be practical reasons for the display's design, such as space limitations, curatorial choices, or changing exhibition themes, and caution against assuming the omission was intentional. Until Sandhurst provides further clarification, much of the discussion remains speculative. Whether Prince Harry's reported absence from Sandhurst's historical display was a deliberate decision or simply the result of curatorial choices remains unknown. What is clear is that his military service continues to be an important part of his public story, and any developments connected to that chapter are likely to generate widespread interest.
Well, of course, you're absolutely right, Dan, and it's even worse than that in my view, because when Harry and Meghan came to the Queen's funeral, when they appeared outside Windsor meeting the well-wishers, Harry's book was already written. The Netflix series was already ready for broadcast in the Queen's life. And what is quite shocking is that they didn't in any way reveal the terrible things they were going to tell the public about their relationships and all their private conversations. They smiled, they pretended that it was all, they were in serious mourning, when in fact they had already broadcast, they'd already written, they'd recorded their treacherous and their disloyal lies. And that is what's so awful about this situation, that you can't trust Harry at all. And when he says he wants reconciliation, we all know really that this has been written for him by his scriptwriters to get another headline. He is a man who can only make money, who can only stay relevant by keeping the pot boiling. And so reconciliation becomes an issue when he knows full well that he is the aggressor. The victims are the royal family. And yet, of course, he poses as the victim. And that is exactly the duplicity which the royal family faces. And in the end, will have to suffocate. They'll have to, one way or another, silence Harry and Meghan, because otherwise these attacks from California will continue.
As always, we'll continue following the story and bring you verified updates as more information becomes available. What do you think? Should Prince Harry's military service be permanently recognized at institutions like Sandhurst, regardless of his current role within the royal family? Or do you believe it's entirely up to the Academy to decide how it presents its history? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If you enjoyed this update, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more coverage of the British royal family. Thank you for watching Royal News Daily, where the crown meets the headlines. We'll see you in the next royal update.